Hello, I'm Jashikins, and welcome to my review of the latest Revolution episode, which is entitled The Plague Dogs. And I was, in all honesty, a little more disappointed in this episode than in previous episodes. I was, guessing that Maggie was going to, die, so that didn't really surprise me, but how she died it wasn't really as good of a death as I was hoping. Yes, it was sort of moving because, she died, but it was still very lacking as the first major character death. And, and I really counting the father. I should really count him. Anyways, another thing disappointing was Charlie being captured. I'm sure I were both at the same mindset when Charlie was captured. You're like, oh my god, yay! I mean, I don't think anyone was, expecting her to die, but it was still nice to see her captured and for that few seconds to be like, yay! But the thing is, it didn't really turn out to be much at all. It was like, oh, she's going to be captured. She's going to be told rapey comments by this one guy. And then jack shit. There was really nothing to Charlie's capture. All it did was really take up time in the episode. Nothing really needed to be there. But, let's get into some positive points. One of the positive points is, of course, Miles Matheson, who was in this episode, like in previous episodes, a really good character to stick behind. And Miles and Maggie do get into a semi-argument. I don't know, Miles wasn't really that badass as in previous episodes. But at least, he did get a nice fighting scene with Nate, who Charlie... It turns out we find out what happens to Charlie. It turns out, what happened to Nate. I'm getting characters' names confused. Happens in real life, too. Well, it turns out Charlie let Nate just be tied up. She had sort of pitiful pity in her eyes, so that pity was, I guess, leading to her just leaving a dangerous character. Good job, Charlie. And now it seems that Nate's going to be part of the group, which just is... Here's one guy who's trying to bring in Miles. You're trusting this guy with your lives. It's just a really dumb thing. One of the points brought up before in the episode was, well, we can get information out of him. Yeah, do that. Keep him tied up and shit, but kill him off as soon as possible, because that's the safest thing to do. In this episode, it's also revealed that Nora and Miles did, in fact, have a relationship together previously. And that they might be actually, might get back together. I don't know. It just seems that maybe there's too much baggage there, but maybe they both secretly want it. And I'm sort of guessing that. And I felt some real, how to phrase this without sounding like a pervert, there seemed to be a good family connection between Miles and Charlie this episode. Some really episode where both seem to care for the other. And it was really sweet to see that, especially since, Miles is denying it. I don't need anyone. And Charlie, big with family connections, might be leading Miles to fully go and join the Rebels, because I'm assuming the group will join the Rebels. Unless the Rebels have this big dark secret too, and they're not really the good guys either. Well, we'll find that out later. And we get to see some more of Danny. Danny chose to save Gus. Okay, he was Gus in Breaking Bad, but he's Tom Neville in this episode. So Danny decides to save Tom. And it was just, we got to see another instance of Tom using, well, I have a family and I know how this must feel. I had a son too. So now he has a fucking son. And of course, don't believe what Gus says, what Tom says. Because he conveniently had a wife, and now he conveniently has a son. And of course it seems that that son thing didn't really work on Danny, and Danny is like, well, my father never murdered people. And at the time Danny saved Tom's life, Tom convinced Danny, by instead going this other route, well, your father would never do this. Don't you want to be more like your father? Okay, I think I probably mentioned this before in other videos, but doing good guy things to stay moral and pure or whatever, Tom Neville is a dangerous fucking character to have around. You don't want to have him around, you don't want to be friends, you don't want to high five, you don't want to go home and have drinks with him, or, go out to the bar, have drinks, invite him to karaoke. No! He needs to die! Couldn't Danny escape and one of the other men saved Tom? So therefore you could still save Tom without doing this we have to be the good guy bullshit. Hey, there's a chance that you can't escape, a really bad man can die, go after it. Of course, that's one of my personal pet peeves. Yeah. God. And of course, the episode was the plague dogs, and there were dogs controlled by this one perverted guy. I don't think the guy was killed. But now we see that attack dogs are used. And it was a great reveal of the dogs eating the carcass. Even Rev Reznor, who hasn't been sleeping well, so he ended up falling asleep during the episode. But he was awake when the plague dogs are revealed, and even he was like, "Oh!" So it's good. So that's really the main points. So anyways, that's really all it is. It was a decent episode, not one of the better episodes. It's a little pitfall. I think I heard that Revolution is renewed for a second season, so yay, I hope the next episode of Revolution will at least be better. This episode focused sort of more on character development than any actual action. And of course, there's always going to be next episode where things can right themselves. So yay, let's hope for that. And I have been Jashikins, owner at jashikins.blogspot.com. If you want to contact me outside of YouTube or my blog, you can contact me on Facebook, facebook.com/Jashikins fanpage, or on Twitter at Jashikins. And if you're viewing this on YouTube, subscribe, like. If you're viewing this on my blog, just be aware that there's a link to my cafe press shop wherever the links are. Just telling you, so in case you're just viewing this and you're wondering, how can I support the blog? That's how. But if you just want to watch and enjoy my content, you can do that too. And until next video, goodbye.